How do you prepare for your first quarterly review? Now, some organizations will give you an informal review after your first quarter. Some will give you a formal or an informal review after the first 2 quarters that you've been in an organization. So how do you prepare? What should you expect? How do you participate? Well, I'm a big fan of understanding that when you're in a review conversation, you should be thinking to yourself, 1/3 of that conversation should be about what you've already done. 2/3 should be about what you are prospectively going to do or be responsible for or execute. Whenever you approach a review conversation, you should already have in your mind what you have done, your good, your bad, and your ugly. If you were going to take a personal accounting of what you thought you did really well, what does that look like? If you're going to have an accounting of the mistakes that you made or the struggles that you had or some of the assignments that were particularly challenging, make sure that you have a sense of what those were. If you made a mistake in that period, that 1 quarter, those 2 quarters, then you ought to make sure that you understand and be able to explain why it happened. Did you fail to get clarity on the instructions? Did you understand what you were supposed to do? You got it right, but then somebody moved the goalpost on you and didn't tell you until the end of that assignment. No matter what, you need to have a good understanding of how you got there and why you made the mistake. And more importantly, what you learned from the mistake and how confident you are that that will not happen again. Once you get into the room, you should relax. Why? You already have a sense of what you've done for that quarter. You can wait to hear what they're going to have to say, but having your own idea of what you've done and how you've done it will give you a sense of confidence as opposed to a sense of trepidation as you approach that conversation. When you sit down, you look with confident expectancy. I'm waiting to hear what you have to say because no matter what you say, it's going to be value add for me after I leave this room. That should be your mentality as you start that conversation. Now, generally speaking, most reviewers will say, so how do you think you have done? How have you liked this quarter or these 2 quarters or however many days it's been since you've been there? And you should start off by saying, it's been a great quarter or it's been a great 2 quarters. I've had this many assignments. Here are the 3 most important things that I've learned. Here are the things that I think I did really well with. Here are the places where I had challenges, but I've either overcome those challenges or I'm continuing to work on those things right now. So overall, I think it's been a great or constructive or productive or outstanding quarter. Pick one of those words. That'll clarify the message that you're trying to communicate. Now you say, but I'm really here to understand how you and the organization feels about my time here so far and where I can improve or what I need to keep doing the way that I'm doing it. And then take in all the feedback. Don't interrupt, take in all the feedback. Now, if you're a person that doesn't listen very well, then you might want to take in a piece of paper and a pen. So as they're speaking, you can jot down a few things so that you can remember what they said and be able to repeat it back to them. One of the most important things that you can do in your review is to demonstrate that you're listening. Remember, everybody values being heard, but more importantly, you want them to know that you heard the feedback, which will enable them to think that you heard it, so therefore you will act upon it. That's very, very important. So now you listen, you write down a few things that you've heard, and when they're done, you say, thank you very much for the feedback because I appreciate all feedback. So let me repeat what I think I heard you say. The things that I did really well were these 3 things. The places where I demonstrated that I was challenged were these 2 things. Now I'd like to talk about what I can do to remedy those so that those won't be a factor in our conversation the next time and we can move forward. Now you turn your attention to, as I move forward, what are the things that would be important to you over the next couple of quarters? Here's what I was planning to do, but I want to make sure that it is consistent with what you value. That's the time that you can learn whether or not they want you to continue to do the things that you've already been doing and maybe accelerate it, or whether or not they want you to stay on that path, but there are a few things that need to be tweaked, or whether or not they're changing the plan altogether. That's the time for you to make sure that you understand that. Once you've gotten that conversation done, then again, you say, thank you very much for the feedback, because I consider feedback a gift. I'm going to work on A, B, and C. I'm going to check in with you in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks to make sure that I'm taking care of those things that I needed to improve. And I look forward to our conversation the next time. It's important that you approach this conversation as something that is important to you in order to be successful in your career. Everything that you say, your body language, everything needs to communicate that you are there to play. You are there to win. You are there to make a contribution, and you want to be a major player in that organization. You want to make sure that the organization and your direct boss in particular understand that. Otherwise, why are you playing? Your time is the most valuable thing that you have in your life. So if you're going to choose to spend your time in that organization, you ought to make sure that you hit it, that you're doing an outstanding and excellent job, more for you than for the organization. You want a return on your time spent. You want to make sure that you're doing a great job and that you are rewarded accordingly. You want to make sure that you're doing a great job so that you can continue to ascend. You want to make sure that you're doing a great job to make it worth your while to be there. If you're not feeling that way, you should check that. Perhaps you're in the wrong organization. Perhaps you need to be aligned in doing something that's going to make you feel that way, proud and excited to contribute, because that's what it's all about. So your review is just an opportunity to make sure that you're on the right track. You are in the right lane on your journey to maximizing your success in that seat. Go get them.